So I got the D16 up on the engine stand. Cousin came over to help out. So it's a little worse than I thought. We'll start over here. Number 4, which is pretty bad. It didn't actually spin, but it's scratched up pretty good. The tang is completely gone. The part in the rod cap is really bad. You can see how it's misshapen. The tab is just totally broken off, and it's got a lip going on. So I caught this just in time because a few more rides that would have spun for sure. And then some copper material you can see built up on the mains. The crank on the mains is perfectly good, nothing at all. Number 1, 2, 3, and then the top of 4 feels pretty good, but then it has a rough spot right here. Kind of goes away. So, intake manifold's off, the head is off, and the head gasket actually looks pretty good. And then you can see where it blew out on the back of one and 2. Actually, it also was blown out on 3 a little bit, but 4 looks perfect. And then, yeah, 3, 2, and 1 are all blown out right on the back there. crankshaft out. So just gotta push the rods and pistons up, and then start notching. Got the block here, clean out of the parts washer. All the shavings are gone. The notches are about a 1/4 inch both ways. Did it with the Dremel, with a carbide drill bit. Honed the cylinders. Got a fresh crosshatch going on there. Got the top and bottom compression rings, so they're all gapped and ready to go on the pistons. The top rings are gapped to 0.018 and the bottoms are 0.020. Got the pistons and rods right here. Bolts out with the caps off, all assembled. Speed Factory recommends to have the arrow on the YCP Vitaras face the flywheel. So that's the way I set these up. And you have the tangs all facing the exhaust side. So bearing tangs to the exhaust, arrow to the flywheel. Got all the rings out of the cylinders and onto the pistons. Everything is 180 degrees out of itself, so that way none of the gaps line up with each other, creating any types of leaks between the seals. All the plasti gauge is in. The factory loose limit for mains 1 and 5 is 0.0014, and the limit for the 2, 3, and 4 is 0.0017, and the limit for the rods is 0.0015. And both of those have factory service limits of 0.0020. I'm going to leave all that information posted down below. Plasti gauge reading here. So this is ideally 0.0014 with the service limit 0.0020, and this is the 0.0015, 0.00175. But the rest of the mains all come in 0.015, 0.015, 0.015, and 0.015. Check rod number 1, 0.015, rod number 4, again 0.015, rods 2 and 3 are also 0.0015. I had to measure them in the switched position, so the plasti dip marks are on the other side, so I won't be able to measure them without flipping the crank. But got the girdle here, the notches, and new bearings with a a little bit of plastic gauge material. These are Clevite bearings. And these bearings did come with a crankshaft kit. This is the kit right here. So it came with a reground crank with bearings. Now I got to clean the plastic gauge off, clean any materials that could have fallen into the block throughout the whole, just putting everything in process. This is what I'm using as assembly lube. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. So I have WD-40 for the cylinder walls and Marvel Mystery Oil. Alright, got the crank all nice and clean. All the plastic tips off. Everything, the oil holes, which I'm going to show right now. Alright, got the block all cleaned out. All the bearing surfaces wiped clean. Everything is good to go. Got the girdle all nice and notched here. Plenty of room on the rod bolts here. It's hard to get the camera in here, but the one with the oil passage is still, it's close. It's probably, camera doesn't pick it up good, it's probably got about 2 credit cards of space. So yeah, we got a full rotation, we got plenty of clearance. Got 500 or bust on this thing. So I've been working on this head for a few days, and I hope it shows, because those exhaust valves were a pain in the ass to get as clean as they are. Got the Brian Crower valve springs installed. Grab your part number real quick. Head is pretty much ready to go on the block. Block has to be re-cleaned again because it's been a few days, so it's got dust and got a little mosquito in there, and what is that, like a fly, whatever. So I'm gonna clean this all up. Alright, I just checked the head out and it is well within spec. I'm gonna try to show you guys. So the factory service limit is 0.002. So I have 0.002 and 0.0015. That's good. That's good. Maybe just barely right there. And then I'll do 0.002. Check from the back side. Yeah, so 0.0015 can kind of get in there. not really. So the head's definitely got a little bit of warp to it, but still well within the factory limit. So this is the 0.15 again. Oh crap. Just cleaned up the cylinder and the block surface. Checked with the straight edge and the feeler gauge. The maximum limit is 0.004, and I couldn't even get the 0.002 in anywhere, and that's checking straight, diagonal. So head's good, block's good. Just gotta you know, clean up the cylinders a little bit. Gotta get that friggin' mosquito out of there. Take the ARP hardware off. Get rid of any oil residue or anything from the washers, and lay down the new head gasket, put the head on. So the next step here, got the oil pump, OEM Honda, with all of the port modifications, mainly behind the plate. The holes also deepened and tapped so they could take Allens for a more accurate torque reading. And we put a shim on the relief valve, and it's 0.0035, I think, was what we used to get like 15 more psi of oil pressure out of this thing. Battery died, but I got the cam on, the rocker assembly all on, the timing belt on, everything timed and tensioned, intake manifold on. I got the rear main seal and valve cover getting cleaned. I also have a block breather plug for the to replace the black box that would normally be there, and I got to do the oil sandwich plate and oil filter.
Fuck it. Cook it up and yeah.
So it's pretty much all assembled now. Just gotta do the rear main seal. I was just fit in the oil pump, not oil pump, the oil pan, flywheel bolts, pressure plate bolts, ARP.
Nonsense. Live faster, young black girls do it well. 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 Chain hits my chest when I'm banging on the dashboard. My chain hits my chest when I'm banging on the radio. Get back, get down. Pull me closer if you think you can hang. Hands up, 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 up. Hands up, 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 up. Hands up, 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 up. Screaming if I blow you with a bang. If you think you can hang, hands up, hands high. Don't go screaming if I blow you with a bang. Going off to ditch, I'll see for a million. Accelerating fast, I could do this in a second. Looking in the rear view, swagging, going swell. Leaving boys behind, cause it's leaving just to kill. Shift gear, automatic, damn, this to do. Who's gonna stop me when I'm coming through?
that's when I'm back.
So I lost the footage for the first start and a few other things. So I'm just going to go over the car as it is right now. Got the lip on, cut the bumper up more. It's the green hood, but painted black with the cutouts for the exhaust. Interior is basically the same. It's got all the suspension on right now. It's got the blocks drag series with the K-tuned low control arms. It is a lot stiffer than I thought. If the road's nice, it's definitely feels really good. But if the road's like even mildly bad, it gets rough. And actually a lot of roads you can't even get on it because just how stiff the suspension is and how shit the roads are. Some of the roads are around here. But so that's pretty much it for the outside. Still needs a few more things, but for the most part it's done. Need to put a traction bar on it still. Got the catch can hooked up. The motor's got about 500 miles on the build. Same setup that was on the other one in here. Like literally the same turbo setup. Added a blow-off valve for the sake of the turbo. It's all pretty much tuned in. It's running up to 30 psi. It's on the fuel injector clinic, 1000 cc injectors, and I put a AEM 320 E85 capable fuel pump in it. Not that there's any stations near me, but you know, one day. So that's pretty much it. Friggin' rips.